Hello, my name is May and welcome back to 5-Minute Reviews. This is a series where I review books that I want to talk about. These reviews are all spoiler free and last a duration of 5 minutes. Also, my apologies for the background. We are currently moving house, so I have nowhere to film. But for today's review, we are looking at Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I don't actually have a copy of Where the Crawdads Sing because, as I said, we're moving house and I don't know where I put it. Which is going to be an issue because I think better when I hold the book, so this is bound to be absolute gibberish. Where the Crawdads Sing is an incredibly long title and incredibly difficult to say multiple times. It's also described as a coming-of-age murder mystery and was written in 2018 and has become massively popular since then. By 2022, it sold over 15 million copies. Now, Where the Crawdads Sing is not my normal type of novel. It's got no elves, dwarfs, witches, but it did recently get made into a movie and there has been so much hype over it. I thought I'd give it a go. Also, it was 2-for-1 club card, Tesco's. I know most people by this point already know the plot line, so I will keep it short and sweet. Where the Crawdads Sing is set between the 1950s and the 1970s, and it follows the story of a girl called Kaya who grows up in a North Carolina swamp. I don't know much about North Carolina swamps, so I can't give you much information on them, but it is set in one. Her whole family pretty much abandoned her and she's left to grow up by herself from around the age of 10. The story is set in 2 parts. The first part is very much the coming of age story and the second part is the murder mystery. I preferred the second half personally. I really wanted going into this book to understand the hype. Having read this book, I still don't understand the hype. Delia Owens is a lovely, lovely writer. As a person who's never been to America, let alone a North Carolina swamp, I really felt enveloped in Kaya's surroundings and can imagine it from a descriptive point of view. But you have to compare these coming-of-age stories, even from a modern perspective, against those of Charlotte Bronte and Jane Austen, and I still don't think the 21st century manner of writing stands up to those authors. I have a guest. I've also lost my train of thought. Authors nowadays are not deploring those techniques that made those novels classics. And we should be looking towards modern authors such as Delia Owens and Sally Rooney to make those sort of breakthroughs in modern literature. Yes, we are writing from a very different standpoint. Feminist novels are not few and far between, but I feel like the standard of creating those bestsellers has slipped. Yes, the writing is generically very, very beautiful, but the story just lacks something. I will say though, the story was original, I cannot fault that, but I never really felt that connected to the characters. I feel like in a book that had so much room for character development, we actually had quite little. I would have liked to have seen Kaya's integration into society, but I do understand that was not the premise or the message that the book was trying to conceive. As I said previously, I did enjoy the second half of the book way more than the first half, but that is potentially just personal preference towards the genre. Got multiple special guests this book review. Family book review! Although did we really need to go through the entire courtroom sequence? That was 50 pages I will never get back. I think that part of the story for me was far more interesting. I think the first part had a lot of shock factor, but I do notice this quite a lot in modern literature. Authors are creating more and more distressing situations for their characters because as a generation we are quite desensitized. When back in 1813, which was the year Jane Austen wrote Pride and Prejudice, the thought of a female having her own opinions would have been distressing. So within Where the Crawdads Sing, we do see quite a high number of these shocking circumstances, especially within the time frame that the book was set. 100% if this book was written in the 50s, it would have been on the banned list, alongside our friends Catcher in the Rye and Fahrenheit 451. Lord of the Rings will always persevere. Then it's a good example of our societal changes where people are willing to read books that are seen as a little bit more taboo. My apologies for getting completely sidetracked there, but surprisingly I have quite little to say about this book in particular. I did like the end, that was fun, good little twist. Delia Owens is a nice author, but the book lacks substance for me. I personally think the book was popularised by a shock factor as opposed to its narrative. But is that perhaps the stepping stone of how these books will later be classed as classic literature? I don't know, but let me know down in the comments below what you think. But for me, I give it 3 stars. Beautifully average. Please don't stop watching my channel because I said that. But that is it for today's video, you guys. Please do leave me a comment down below if you have read this book and your thoughts. And please remember that opinions are opinions, not one of which is incorrect, just different from yours. Whilst you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I upload new videos almost every Sunday. But until then, my darling flowers, I will see you all later.